After 4 years of Zombie Joe and Cabernet Kamala, it sure is nice to have some strength back in the White House. Donald Trump, he called out the Democratic governor of Maine today, Janet Mills, for continuing to allow biological men to compete against girls in sports. Now, Janet Mills, whose own gender seems a little bit questionable if you ask me, I don't know why this is the hill she wants to die on. Do you want to cancel all federal funding to your schools just so you can allow some men to compete against girls in sports? I don't understand why you're not on the side of common sense. And liberals tell me all the time, you're gay, how can you not support transgender athletes? You're turning on your people, you don't support your people. These aren't my people, I'm on the side of common sense. I don't think big swingin' Richard should be competing against little Sally Sue. Big biological Willie should not be competing against sweet little innocent Rosalia. And if you had asked Clinton Democrats or Obama Democrats years ago if they supported men and women's sports, most of them would have said absolutely not. It's only in the last few years have we gone so far left and progressive that we have these crazy conversations.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way, that's good. But I understand Maine, is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
That exchange with Democratic Governor Janet Mills from Maine was absolutely beautiful, and you might be wondering, why is this so important? What's going on in Maine? Well, this has become a big story recently. Many of you have written to me to talk about this. A lot of you from Maine have said, please cover this. What happened was, there was a guy named John who was competing in the pole vault. He had tied for 5th place when he was competing as a boy. Little Johnny then decided he was going to be little Katie. So Katie goes and competes against the girls in pole vault and takes 1st place and the state championship away from these young women. So to recap, little Johnny ties for 5th place, nothing to write home about. Johnny becomes Katie and takes home the trophy in the state championship and erases all of the hard work these girls have done. What I don't understand about these Democratic governors, senators, and congressmen, why do you want men to compete against girls? You're all about diversity, you're feminists, you support women, women supporting women, but you want to erase these girls and tell them at the last minute, a guy's gonna come in and take a trophy for all the hard work you've done. It's disgusting. So Trump, he signed an executive order his first week in office to ban biological men from women's sports. If they don't want to follow that rule and that mandate from the federal government, you will probably see some consequences, Janet Mills. And I understand some Democrats are going to argue this is a small fringe issue that affects a small percentage of athletes. Well, if you're the athlete that lost out on a gold medal, if you're a young woman who is expecting a scholarship, a gold medal to get out of your hometown and go off to college to compete, and a guy comes in and takes that from you at the last minute, you would be pretty upset. The last thing I'll say is this. There was a poll recently that we talked about on here that showed 79% of Americans, almost 80% of the entire country, they thought women should compete against women and men should compete against men. It's simple, it's basic, it's common sense. For some reason, Janet Mills wants to die on the hill of the small minority of this country that's kooky and wacky and thinks that this is okay. All right, my friends, thanks for liking and following. Drop a comment. Tell me how you feel about this entire situation. Those of you who are new to my page, you probably don't know this. When I started posting every single day at the beginning of 2023, some of my first big videos were defending women's sports, keeping men out of women's sports, keeping men out of women's sororities like we saw in Wyoming. This is what I've been on the front lines of for years. This is nothing new to the people who've been around. I will see you on the next one. Bye.